Thank you for being here. It's exciting. We're excited. Why are we excited? Well, what we're about to unveil on Tuesday, July 12, 2022, is the culmination of 32 years and more of work, of discovery, of persistence, patience, determination, trial and error, invention, product development, continuous improvement, research, clinical research, and it all comes to fruition on Tuesday. We are going to complete the puzzle of the human brainwave function. In a daily practice, your brainwave will oscillate anywhere between 0.5 hertz and 41 hertz. And with the launch of Focus, we will have completed all of the areas that we want to provide to the human being, with one exception. So there are 5 brainwave types. The slowest waveform is called deep sleep, and it's delta, 0.5 hertz to 4 hertz. So in that brainwave function, when your brain is oscillating at that low frequency, you're in dreamless-like sleep. Your body's almost in a coma state as it's recovering, restoring. And then when you go a little faster, it goes 4 hertz to 7 hertz. And I know many of you are familiar with theta. Theta is the healing zone. Theta is a slow waveform that's about lucid dreaming, hypnagogic dissociation, cellular restoration, the cells cleaning their toxins, the mitochondria is being restored. The more time you can spend in theta on a daily basis, the longer your life will be, the greater your resilience will be, the better your physical, emotional, psychological well-being will be, and you'll be able to manage and downregulate inflammation and stress. Alpha is 8 hertz to 12 hertz. Alpha and theta kind of cross over what's called the Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's magnetic rotation at 7.83 hertz. And alpha is synonymous with relaxation, creativity, being in the zone, and just kind of being chill. And then there's beta. Beta is the broadest range of human function with brainwave, and it oscillates between 13 and 38 hertz. Focus, launching next Tuesday, is going to oscillate your brainwave function between 15 and 20 hertz. When we get beyond 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, and greater, we're starting to get into the zone that's affiliated with stress, fear, worry, anxiety. We will never bring a product to market that will elicit stress, fear, worry, and anxiety. So we're done. The human brainwave form, 5 different brainwave types with 4 products: deep sleep, NuCalm, Focus, and Ignite, completes the puzzle for humanity. Now, I say humanity because maybe we'll work in the environment of animals, but I don't think so, because animals have a better auditory range and they can hear a lot of what we do anyway. So Tuesday is a culmination of everything we've done. And you'll find that each product we develop, we don't develop it based on the prior products, except the methodology used to create the physics. We build them based on the outcome. So we're always focused on what outcome do we want to create. And so for Focus, it's pretty simple. We wanted to create mental acuity focus. We wanted to negate the distractions that are imposed upon us through external stimulation and the distractions that are generated inside our own thinking. So there are 2 ways to become distracted. One is external stimuli. Okay, so noise at the door, knock on the door, anything. But the second distraction, which may be more permeable and more detrimental to our ability to perform mentally, is our inner chatter. So the dialogue we have with ourselves all the time. This leads to inefficiency. This leads to procrastination. This leads to inability to get stuff done in timelines. It creates stress. It creates pressure. Say you have a deadline today at 5 o'clock. When you woke up this morning, that deadline was looming over your head all day. And say you tried to focus on something else and you'd have a ping of your inner dialogue talking to you about your deadline for 5 o'clock. That pressure mounts. Anticipatory anxiety mounts, blood flow leaves the frontal cortex and the prefrontal cortex and the key areas of your brain to actually act, to concentrate, and it goes to this weird chatter that we have. So Focus is going to do a variety of things for us. Number one, it's going to slow down, negate, and resolve the internal dialogue and the external distractions. So when you're listening to focus, you are not going to be distracted. Amy, I think someone may have joined that is not muted. I don't know if you can mute everybody and then I can unmute. That's up to you. But we are going to, through honing the oscillations of your brainwave into focus, which is 15 to 20 hertz, we're going to remove distractions. So when we do NuCalm, we often reach this point of called hypnagogic dissociation. It's a fancy term for losing time and losing space and really allowing the body to heal. You also find that in Ignite. So if you're listening to Ignite, you're walking through the neighborhood, or you're listening to Ignite and you're working out, doing cardio, you're on a bike, you're on a treadmill, you're out running, or you're doing musculature work, whatever. You'll notice that time kind of speeds and you're like, wow, that track's over already. Same thing with deep sleep. Same thing happens with focus. So there are going to be 3 tracks we're going to launch next Tuesday. These 3 tracks are 15 minutes at a minimum, and the second track is 17 minutes. The physics platform begins at 13 hertz, low beta, and then oscillates you in this pattern in 15 to 20 hertz. In the literature, they claim that 18.4 hertz is the pinnacle of clarity and concentration and comprehension. So we play around that area a lot. There are 3 tracks, and it's as easy as Ignite. I think the easiest thing that we've ever created is deep sleep, which is one of the most complex physics platforms. But Ignite is easy. You get a good pair of headphones, or if you're working out, you can do a good pair of in-ear headphones. You can do AirPod Pros or whatever. And you play the track through a mobile device. Same thing for focus. You're going to put a good pair of headphones on. We use either the Sony MX-1004s that come with the Mastermind, or we also have the Mac Air Max Pros, which on the physics side add a little bit more spatial technology, and music's starting to catch up with that as well. So on our team, those are the 2 headphones that we use. So say it's 10 o'clock on a random day and you're home because we don't commute as much to work, and you have a lot to do and your brain's a little scrambled. You had caffeine, you slept pretty well, maybe you got up and NuCalmed, but you're starting to feel overwhelmed because there's a lot going on. And you're trying to keep your outer body calm, because if your outer body's calm, maybe you can downregulate your hypothalamus and keep your inner body calm, but your mind is racing and you know you need to get things done. You find yourself easily distracted and finding things to do that aren't pertinent to what you're trying to do. That's procrastination. You sit down, you put the headphone on, you activate one of the tracks, and within a couple minutes, you will notice, if you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention, you won't even notice this, but you're going to start honing in on something and your brain is going to start getting focused. The first track we're releasing is called Clarity. Clarity. The music composition comes out of Eastern music. So there's an Eastern element to it. And its focus is to kind of create this unilateral thought pattern where you begin to think about one thing at a time. So this is really good for meticulous development of something that has a step-by-step process. And you get really tuned in one thought at a time. So that's Clarity. The second track is Comprehension. Comprehension. How often do we read something and we turn the page and we don't remember what we just read because our mind and our inner dialogue went to some other chatter? And then we repeat it, or we're just starting to get tired, or we're just not thinking. Comprehension is really active consciousness. It's actually enabling neuroplasticity and enabling new cognition and new contacts in the neuronal space where you can actually take in information, receive information, process information, and problem solve. So comprehension is a big deal. Comprehension is the second track. And then the last track is concentration. Concentration is a little more subtle than comprehension and a little subtle difference from clarity. And so concentration is going to, again, get rid of distractions. The clarity takes you on a one-step approach. The comprehension allows you to receive information, problem solve, and really activate conscious thinking. And then concentration is going to allow all these distractions to simply go away. So we have 3 tracks we're launching in focus. There is no bad adverse event that can happen in focus. You're in 15 to 20 hertz. You're in the lower end of beta. You're underneath fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry. And you're just kind of oscillating in this cool space. Now, everybody's different. Our food's different. Our metabolic rate's different. Our history is different. Our epigenetics are different. Our interpersonal relationships are different. Our conflicts different. So there's no cookie cutter way of how you're going to feel. However, I believe because humans are predominantly the same in our makeup, there's a few cool elements you're going to notice about focus. 1, you're certainly going to notice the time distortion. 2, you're going to notice being focused. So when you first started using NuCalm, there's an experience that's hard to articulate. But when you get out of NuCalm, it's probably one of the first times and only time that you didn't have any clutter in your head. You were present in the moment and you were clear and present, clear and present. That feeling is profound. The same thing's going to happen in focus, except you're literally going to hone in your mental acuity. And there seems to be, and this may be just a few of us trying it and doing it, there seems to be a happiness element to it. So the other day I'm walking in the neighborhood and I have headphones on. So, when you have over-the-ear headphones on, you're walking in the neighborhood, you look a little funky anyway. But I noticed I was just randomly smiling like the village idiot. And I was like, wow, this is really fascinating. I feel amazing. There's no reason for it. There's nothing particular that was happening at that moment of the day. It's just that when my brain is oscillating at that certain stage, when distractions are gone, maybe this is addition by subtraction. When distractions are gone, there's nothing for me to worry about. Now, I can always find something to worry about, but my brain wouldn't let me go there. So I think you're going to notice as you listen to this, an element of just happiness, not joy, but just happiness. So focus, 3 tracks, 15-minute, 17-minute, 15-minute. Clarity, comprehension, concentration. Guess what? You can listen to this as much as you like. You can listen to this for 6 hours a day. You can listen to this on a repeat loop. You can't be harmed by being in focus. Now, at some point, we would recommend probably an hour before bed that you stop listening to focus because of that kind of endorphin, happy feeling, and just energy. If you listen to it a couple hours at 1 to 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you may override that natural dip in energy and you may find yourself not wanting to NuCalm and continue to push through. So it's Tuesday and it's been a busy summer so far. And I just finished 7.5 weeks of travel where I was home a total of 5 days. And it's also coming off the holiday. So there's a lot coming at us. And around 4 o'clock, our team, we had a call and they said, hey, we really need to start articulating and building out the assets for focus. Can you write some of the neuroscience behind what we're doing? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. And it was about, I think, 4 o'clock. And internally I said, wow, I have nothing left in the tank. My brain is like porridge. This is gonna be difficult for me. And I operate on energy and I write on energy. I know when I'm supposed to write and I know when I'm not supposed to write. And I know when I'm supposed to push my writing to tomorrow. But I couldn't because I had to honor the team's request and time is of the essence. So I put focus on, and literally 11 minutes later, I wrote 2 pages of very eloquent, in tune, in flow neuroscience. I was like, wow, this thing is really powerful. Now I've been listening to it for a while as we're in development and doing all the research around it, but this is a tool that's going to have that same kind of feeling that deep sleep has. Deep sleep for me and for many of us feels the closest thing to magic. Now we know we're predicated on hardcore neuroscience. We know all of that, but it just feels like I don't know where I go. I don't know how I fell asleep. I don't know when I fell asleep. And when I get up to pee in the night, because I'm 53 years old, I can barely find my bed to get back to sleep. So it's having such an impact on me. Focus is going to do the same. You can liken it to Ignite Light. So like a light beer version of Ignite. Now, In the literature, and you're going to start seeing this because the research is quite fascinating. In Ignite, 39, 40, 41 hertz, we used to say high intensity mistake-free focus for a reason. There's also a focus element in that range as well. And that focus, they're showing in the literature in the medical community an ability to kind of clear the clutter and the plaque that's associated with dementia and Alzheimer's. So there's that element as well. And a lot of us have used Ignite for the mental acuity. The challenge with Ignite is that it also comes with activating the gross motor cortex and your cerebellum and your musculature and your olfactory and your peripheral vision. So a lot of us get a little too amped up and it's not comfortable because we feel like we're over caffeinated. You will not have that issue with focus. So this is pure mental acuity, not a lot of effervescing on a cellular level, not a lot of amplification of your musculature, just a really tuned in focal point. This completes the cycle. And I know that we've shared this many times on these types of calls and these recordings, and it's still hard for me to articulate exactly the magnitude of what's created, but I anticipate that a century is going to go by and people will still not have been able to figure out what Dr. Holloway invented. And I use the parallelism of Nikola Tesla and George Okoski, the two gentlemen from Russia and Serbia who emigrated to America and really discovered and founded electromedicine, which we still have a fundamental lack of understanding for. And that was 100 years ago. I feel that same way with this. So if you take a step back and we think about how we've evolved as humans and what we do, we've always been passive in our approach to brainwave function. We've always had to rely on external stimulation, mostly through absorbing something, whether it's a pharmaceutical agent or a soda or a Red Bull or a Monster Energy, or we go for a run, or we have a warm glass of milk to downregulate, or we hug somebody and elicit oxytocin, whatever that is. But in our brain, the cerebral cortex and the thalamus are kind of in control of oscillating our brainwave function, and they're reactive to our behavior. So if it's Saturday afternoon and you've had a long week and it's about 11 o'clock and you had some breakfast at 7 and your body's, needs more glucose and you just don't have the energy, your thalamus is taking in this information. It's reprocessing from your senses and it's communicating with your cortex, and together they create your brainwave function based on your behavior. So they keep you in that state. So if you're in this low energy state at 13 hertz or 12 hertz, and you're literally just kind of in and out of lucid consciousness and certainly not energized, your body reacts to that behavior and keeps you there. If you want to externally stimulate it, you can have a cup of coffee. So we've always been passive, and the brain has always kind of reacted to our current behavioral pattern and external stimuli. We don't do that. Blake didn't invent this product for that purpose. He switched and turned it upside down. He built a product offering and a platform built on really advanced physics to trick your brain and put you in the proactive driver's seat of literally figuring out whatever it is you want. All you have to do is listen to our physics. We're not waiting for a passive reaction in an analysis of our behavior from our thalamus to dictate the brainwave function. So today, Friday, say it's 3:30 in the afternoon and I want to get on the Peloton and I really don't have the motivation to do it, I will put Ignite on. And then I don't have a choice. That absolute certainty and unstoppable nature of Ignite puts me in that state. I don't even stop to think about putting on my clothes to work out. I just work out. If I need to sleep and I'm jet lagged or I'm in a different country and my circadian rhythm's a little off, I just put deep sleep on. It's not a choice. I know where I'm going to go. With NuCalm and recovery and restoration, I just NuCalmed. So at 1:15 or whatever, I did a 30-minute NuCalm. It was amazing. I don't know where I went, but I was like, wow, this was really deep and really, I feel really, really balanced and grounded. So Blake understanding the whole impetus behind NuCalm was to begin to downregulate the sympathetic response and allow the traumatized brain to downregulate without drugs. That was the impetus and the start of what we've done. But we built a platform so strong that 9 years ago, we began research and development on deep sleep because of the need for sleep, really the onset of sleep and getting back to sleep. Then we started working on Ignite because a professional sports team asked us to get us something to jack you up. And then 5 years ago, we began working on Focus. We started doing this, and now it turns out that 32 years later on this journey, we've created the only platform in the world. We're second to nobody, and we're comparative to nothing. There's nothing in the space of wellness and health and well-being and mental health and neuroscience that has any of our background and any of our science. And we're so bold in what we've accomplished beyond the regulatory and the FDA and Health Canada and the military and NSF certified for sport and all the stuff that you have to do obligatory wise. We went out and were awarded 2 patents that showcase exactly what we've done. If you understand the patent and you read the patent, it gives you the recipe, but it's so advanced, you're not going to be able to meticulously put together this design. So now, today, and on July 12, you're going to have the opportunity for the rest of your life, at your discretion, for whatever you want, with no side effect, no way to hurt you, no drugs, no acid in your stomach. You drink caffeine and the acid in your stomach creates, metabolic acidosis. It changes the microbiome in our stomach. We have none of that. We're just literally activating, upregulating, or downregulating your brainwave function with a desired physiological outcome that you choose. This is incredible to me. We are changing how humanity is going to function. I think the most profound product would be NuCalm, simply because the inability for our species to downregulate the stress response. Secondarily would be deep sleep, because of a $600 billion industry and growing, because we can't seem to solve the sleep problem. And then I think Focus will be the third most powerful product, because you're going to be in a position when you're listening to this to perform with a high level of efficiency and get your work done, being able to rely on your mental acuity, your ability to comprehend information, your ability to consolidate memory, to create new neuronal coherence, new cognition, new thinking. It's pretty amazing where we're at and what we're doing. So this app will be updated 96 hours from when this call started. So 4 days from now, 96 hours at 2 p.m. Eastern time, dictated by David Poole, our Chief Business Officer, this app will go live. Now, sometimes there's variance in that because of Apple and approvals and all that good stuff. But essentially what will happen is you're going to turn on your app next Tuesday, and underneath the NuCalm 3 categories of rescue and reboot and recharge, you're going to see a new category. And the category is in green. If you look at chromotherapy and you look at the issues of color and how that resonates different mind states, the choices were orange or green. And both of these elicit a kind of energy, a focus, a sense of concentration, and mental acuity. So we chose green. So you're going to see a green outline. You're going to see focus. You're going to open up focus. You're going to see 3 tracks: clarity, comprehension, concentration. And you can loop these. You can listen to them one after another, and you can do this for as long as you want. The only recommendation is that you stop listening to focus about an hour before bedtime. So maybe now your routine is really regimented and quite simple, all built on neuroscience. You go to sleep using deep sleep. You wake up, if you slept well and your sleep score is like, hey, I got an 85 sleep score and I feel good and I'm ready to take on the day, maybe you don't do NuCalm right thing in the morning. If you wake up and you don't feel well, you do NuCalm. Okay. It gives you that augmentation of your sleep debt. It gives you that energy, the focus, and desire to go conquer your day, as opposed to wondering when you can get back to sleep. Then maybe you have Ignite instead of coffee, or you have 1 cup of coffee and augment that with Ignite. And then you get to work. And you do whatever behavior it is you do. You get settled in, you get in your chair, or you have a stand-up desk, however you choose to work mentally, or you do your phone calls, and you start listening to focus. And you are going to get in a state that you're not used to, and it's going to be sustainable, and it's going to be powerful, and it's never going to let you down. One thing I think all of us have noticed is that NuCalm doesn't have a hypothesis. It doesn't have an ego. It doesn't determine or discriminate who it's going to serve and who it's not going to serve. If your heart's working and your lungs work, we're going to help you out. That's all there is to it. Even if you are deaf, the vibration and the resonance of the physics oscillates in the brain, and it dictates the brainwave function. So we're going to take really good care of you. We're going to do it in a predictable fashion. We often consider our technology as a confidant. This technology is there for you at all times. It's a tool in your disposal. It's a tool that you can use at your discretion. And what I've noticed is that NuCalm has seen me in my best times, my worst times, has never judged me for it. And it's always just been there as my personal confidant and my sidekick, and certainly my #1 travel companion. So Tuesday, 95 hours from now, Focus will be here. And let's go through how to use all 4 products and why. I think it's becoming clearly self-evident that our product offering, the science we deliver, and what we are trying to do in all 4 products is to downregulate or upregulate the frequency of your brainwave function, with the understanding that when the brain is oscillating a certain frequency, it's commensurate with a behavior. 39 to 41 hertz, you are fully activated. Your musculature is activated, your olfactory, your peripheral vision, your mind is really focused, and you feel unstoppable. That's Ignite. We go down to 15 to 20 hertz, you're going to have mental acuity, comprehension, concentration, active consciousness, and just a really focused, distraction-free mental acuity. We go down 12 hertz to 4 hertz to NuCalm. You're going to restore, you're going to recover, you'll have a lucid dream state, you're going to wake up, you're going to feel mentally clear, grounded, peace of mind in your heart, calm, and you're going to be ready to take on whatever you need to take on. And then deep sleep at 4 hertz to 0.5 hertz. So of the 5 brainwave categories, we have 4 products that take care of all 5 of them. This is the future. A lot of us has been the present, and it's an amazing gift from the brilliant mind and determination and compassion of Dr. Holloway. And it's all done. When you think about what we're going to work on next, and we have a very, very high competency and ability to bring to the world products that work and work highly effectively and safely, there's nothing left for us to work on. The next thing that we're going to pursue is the augmentation of our physics and our neuroscience with the spoken word. And I think some of you have already caught on to this, but we've done a collaboration with Jim Quick, and we will be building out learning modalities with the spoken word over our physics in a collaboration in a whole different business. But it's similar to what we did with Tony Robbins, where Tony, in Certainty and Gratitude, is talking over our physics and guiding the brain. So in Ignite, where you're amped up, but there's no verbal. So it's not a guide. It's kind of just up to you where your brain wants to go. We're going to be working on that. So the future for our company, there is no more space in the brainwave function of a human for us to work in. We're good. We've accomplished that goal. Great. We're going to start working on the spoken word. So with that said, Amy, I think we can probably open it up for questions. We've got focus. Focus requires a headphone and a mobile device. We have Ignite, requires a headphone and a mobile device. We have Deep Sleep, doesn't require a headphone, just a mobile device and a speaker. And then we have NuCalm, requires a headphone, a mobile device, a biosignal processing disc, and an eye mask. When we build these products, we don't build them with, hey, what do we have to put together to, create a product? We build it with the outcome. And now you're starting to figure out the complexity of NuCalm and why does it require components? Well, if you have any inkling and understanding of the history of neurobiofeedback and transcranial direct current stimulation, you'll be wholly unimpressed with the lack of its predictability. So we can stimulate certain areas of your brain, but if we don't down-regulate the body's human resistance in the form of adrenaline, you will never have a predictable outcome. So 80 years of neurobiofeedback, it's still not predictable today. Why is that? Because they're not honoring and have the humility to understand the complexity of the body's natural resistance. Your brain doesn't want to be managed, doesn't want to be manipulated. So with NuCalm is the only product in our offering where we're going against inertia in the brain's natural form. In daylight with cortisol, your brain wants to go faster. You'll notice in NuCalm, we take you the reverse. And to do that, we needed to bring a tank to a knife fight. And we did that through biochemistry in the form of the disc, negating the visual stimulation from the visual cortex with the eye mask, and the physics. So the physics for Ignite, it's 100% of the efficacy. For Deep Sleep, it's 100% of the efficacy. For Focus, it's 100% of the efficacy. And for NuCalm, it's anywhere between 75 and 80% of the efficacy, whereas where the impact of the disc is literally correlated to your current stress level. That's it. That's what we've done. That's what we're here to do. And this is the tools that we've built to help you be the best you can be and live an amazing life. And it's pretty cool stuff too.
Yes, it is. So there were a couple questions that came up about, which neuroacoustic software to use the disc with, and headphones, and the speaker, and you went through all that. So I'm just going to ask that if anybody has any additional questions, to put them in the chat, and I'm also going to put my email address in there, and I can also follow up with you separately. Okay, but I think you answered everything that has come up.
Allow me to answer it with one more layer of the onion.
Perfect.
Before Blake passed away in December of 2020, I asked him, I said, Blake, can you go back through our physics platform, all the physics we've built, everything we've done, and can you make the physics both pathways of pacing brainwave function? There are two methods that are deployed across the human brain. Binaural signal processing, or binaural beat, relies on the brain's natural compensatory mechanism, and it tricks the brain by presenting it with disparate frequencies. So the simple example is, if we want 12 hertz, we put 500 hertz in the left ear, 512 in the right. So that's called binaural signal processing. Now, in addition, with NuCalm, we're not a 99-cent app. You don't spend 32 years and $36 million building a mousetrap because there's no complexity behind it. You don't do 2 million surgical procedures with NuCalm because it's not complex. So there's a tremendous amount of complexity, and people think, oh, well, this is just a binaural beat. No, it's not. Don't confuse one of the methods we use to trick the brain with the entirety of the method. That's not the case. There's a pitch and a frequency mathematical matrix involved. There's a nonlinear oscillating algorithm involved. There's a ton of math and science and physics that add up to 1 to 1.5 gigabytes underneath the music. This is not binaural beat with a single track. That's not what it is. But binaural is the most intense way to pace the brain. But there's another waveform called isochronic. And isochronic ambiently can present the brain with a pattern that the brain follows. It's not as gripping. We can't grip you as strong. So before Blake passed away, he built every aspect of our software with isochronic and binaural. What does that mean? That means there's a range and a spectrum. So if you want to simply have a low level of focus, listen to focus in your office through a speaker. If you want maximum efficacy and intensity, put a headphone on. If you want to listen to deep sleep, we built that for isochronic. But if you're still struggling and your sleep is so compromised, put a headphone on. It's simply stronger. If you want to listen to Ignite in your car, I drive to Ignite, which is probably not safe, and I obviously have a radar detector, which keeps me out of jail. But I drive with Ignite a lot, and it's just an amazing focal point for me. I don't have headphones on when I'm in my car. I just have a stereo speaker. So everything we've built has a spectrum and an opportunity for you to choose what you want. Maximum intensity of any of our physics would require a headphone, but you can get benefit with just the isochronic waveform. In 2011, I was doing a lecture in Kansas City, Kansas, and there's about 115 people there. And for some reason, it was all a bunch of medical doctors. And for some reason, the people who put on the event thought it'd be a good idea to have an open bar and food. And I was like, I don't want people drunk or tipsy listening to a couple-hour neuroscience lecture at 6 o'clock at night. So I played the neuroacoustic software ambiently over the speaker system. In less than 1 minute, this dull roar went to silence. And I was like, holy cow, this thing is insane. So we could probably put it on a plane and do the same. So isochronic and binaural signal processing are the two ways to pace brainwave function. And all of our products have both. So you can use it as a continuum. The other elements that we work with don't require a biosignal processing disk unless the deep sleep by itself is not entraining you enough. Each of you have noticed this. The more you use the product, the more the brain is trained. The more the brain is trained, the more self-awareness you have. The more self-awareness you have, the more you slip right into that state. So our team, by virtue of using NuCalm for years, we can get into a meditative monk-like state with no effort in like a minute. And we've measured this with Harvard Medical School and all the research we've done. So there's a training involved, and there's a, hey, let me show you how to go high. Let me show you how to go low. Let me show you how to go deep sleep. So the more you use it, that's the cumulative benefit of using the software platform. Thank you, Amy.
Okay, great. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Janet wants to know which track you were listening to when you were walking in your neighborhood smiling.
That was concentration.
Okay.
And yeah, it was bizarre, and I was self-aware, and I couldn't stop smiling. I was just like, I don't know what's happening here, but I like this experience. So yeah, so expect that. And I know on our team, Jamie said the same thing. He's like, I don't know if I'm just having one of the best days of my life, but I just have this overarching sense of happiness. So be on the lookout for happiness. You know, think about it. We're clearing out distractions, and distractions really don't add a lot of value to our life. When we're pinged with worry, anticipatory anxiety, things we need to do, to-do lists, things that we've forgotten, there's really little value in that. You never feel happy when you feel overwhelmed. So maybe that's how this happens.
Well, Sheridan just mentioned that this is going to be phenomenal. We couldn't agree more. And Gail has asked if it's okay to listen to when driving, like while she's commuting.
Okay, so hopefully you're a good driver, because this isn't going to really change your ability to drive. But I've listened to NuCalm driving, which we don't recommend and probably isn't that safe. But, you know, if I don't have a disc on and an eye mask, I can't go into theta. I just kind of go into a state. I prefer to listen to Ignite while driving, but I will tell you this. Hopefully there's no police on this call and I can't be arrested retroactively. But I was driving from New York City back home to Delaware, and I was listening to Ignite probably 3 or 4 times in a row. And I was talking on the phone, listening to Ignite, driving like a NASCAR race car, and I looked down, I was going 117 miles an hour. And I thought to myself, I'm going to die. I can't do this. So self-regulate, have self-awareness. You probably can do a really fascinating, amazing job driving in focus, because focus at 15 to 20 hertz can cause no harm. It simply hones in your focus.
Okay, great. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Alejandro has a great question and is asking if it will work for kids.
Alejandro, are kids human? I know we think they're aliens, and I know we don't identify with them. So, you know, that we've been working with the Chinese national government since 2019, and they have a tremendous population, about 985 million adults in their workforce. And they did a study on autism in kids under 1 year old with 1,000 kids. And so we're always working with the spectrum of humanity. So in utero, when you're in your mama's belly to the time that you're, 100 years old, this will work on every single human being. And so for those of you who haven't used NuCalm on your children, you are missing a grandiose opportunity. I mean, just phenomenal. There are a lot of people who will just have a speaker in the crib. And I've had someone call me on FaceTime and show me their kid looking like this in a trance, and say, every night we put NuCalm on and our children just go. So my kids have been using NuCalm for 13 years. Absolutely use all of this with your children. We have found a lot of really, really good results on the sporting side with children with Ignite. In fact, I just got a quote and a testimonial from the mother of a woman who's a figure skater in Canada. And she's using deep sleep, using NuCalm and Ignite, and just having tremendous, tremendous results. And she's the type of person who's heading towards the Olympics. She doesn't go to school. So absolutely, children would benefit tremendously from all aspects of what we do. And don't be shy.
Okay. Alejandro did concur that children are humans. I just wanted to circle back on that one, which is good that we're all.
We were all children once too, and maybe
right.
Yes.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Joyce is asking which program or programs would help with chronic pain.
Ooh, NuCalm. So there's a frequency that's focused on pain. And so with NuCalm, if we can, when you think pain, think the exacerbation of the pain response because of the stress response. So you're in pain, but you're also stressed. So your hyper awareness to the pain signal to your brain. If we can downregulate inflammation, which is the localized area that's creating the pain signal to the brain, and we can slow down your respiration rate and slow down your ability to metabolize, we win on the pain sector. And this has been true for years. And it doesn't matter what the pain is, from fibromyalgia to an injury or a concussion. You want to be using rescue, and you want to be using it on a regular basis. And you should notice an immediate impact on the relief of the pain. Now, you will also notice an anticipatory anxiety, wondering and worrying when the pain's going to return. But the correlation between stress and inflammation and the pain signal is all over the world. We know this for a fact. If we can downregulate the stress response, we improve the pain.
Okay, I'm just looking over all of our questions. Mary had one, and Jim, you can address this, and then Mary, I'm happy to go offline with you as well. She's new to NuCalm, and she's been doing different time sessions and hasn't really been able to discover the wow that everyone seems to have. What am I missing?
Yeah. So probably expectation. So some people are like, hey, I don't feel a wow. It's hard to entertain and create an expectation for something that there's no language in the human language that describes what we're doing. But we're not doing anything. There is no journey. It's not like I'm, in a teepee doing a ayahuasca journey, or I'm doing some journey in my head. We're simply down regulating all of the accumulation of stress in our body. So there will be an accumulation of subtleties in your NuCalm journey. And over time, some of the things you will notice, and you may not even attribute it to NuCalm. Number one, the more you do this, the more you're less apt to be agitated and triggered, meaning things that normally would agitate you and trigger you don't. Because we're redistributing oxygen-rich red blood cells in the brain, and we're taking it away from the temporal region and the fight or flight area of the reptilian brain, and we're putting it to the personality, character, and patience and presence of your prefrontal cortex, we're allowing you to interpret stress and say, no, I'm familiar with this pattern, and I'm going to be in a responsive fashion, and I'm going to be patient with it, as opposed to impatient, easily triggered, where the resources go right to the reptilian part of our brain and they exercise our fight or flight. So there's a tremendous amount of wow factor with NuCalm, and the wow factor is typically directly correlated to the amount of stress that you've been managing prior to being introduced to NuCalm. If you're in a disease state and you're struggling, there's a wow factor. If you're a professional athlete and you're really focused on the nano percent of improvement mentally and physically, there's a wow factor. If you're a pilot and you're constantly trying to override the body's diurnal need for circadian rhythm and sleep, there's a wow factor. So stick to the course. You're no different than any of us. It's just a matter of, you may have joined the NuCalm family in a place of being better and more well-adjusted than the rest of us. So the profundity of being well-adjusted and adding NuCalm to your life is just a step down, just by a few frequencies. The profundity of someone who's highly agitated, has trauma, addiction, a myriad of problems, going through a divorce, whatever, that profundity is, you're going from a high beta down into NuCalm. So stay the course. We're here for you. And you are human. You're not an alien, and the wow factor is real, but it's really, it's personal. The wow factor is personal. Today I had a wow NuCalm. It was personal. I didn't expect it. I was just doing it just because I love to NuCalm before I get on these calls, so that you get a fresh approach and I'm not bored after talking about the same stuff for 2,000 presentations. So I do that, but I had a great NuCalm today, and I was really thrilled with that. So.
Manuel has a comment that deep sleep is the new white noise machine for kids, for sure.
Yes.
It's a good way to put it. And then Denise is asking a question, going off on a little bit of a different category. Do you have any perspective or information on persons with age-related cognitive decline, like Alzheimer's, for example? She has a family member who is in an advanced stage of this illness.
Yes, absolutely. And I was speaking to that too. In the recent literature, I know Rudy Tanzi, the neuroscientist at Harvard, is doing a lot of work in the amplification of brainwave frequency and gamma. They're finding that it's helping clean the plaque and clean some of the issues that are related to dementia. So in dementia and the Alzheimer folks, there's something called sundowning effect, where it creates an agitation and almost a violent response. And they lose sense of their ability to downregulate and self-regulate. And it's scary. This NuCalm experience will do several things for your family member. Number one, it'll down-regulate the sundowning effect almost immediately. You won't have that kind of violent experience, number one. Number two, it'll improve their quality of life. If it's advanced stage dementia, we're not going to really be able to piece together some of the chicken wire that is dissolved in the brain function. But we can always downregulate the stress response, downregulate some of the confusion, and just make their life better and help them be better for you as well as a caretaker. You know, when you're a caretaker of someone who's volatile, not by their own accord, but by the disease taking hold of them, it creates what's called secondary PTSD for the caretaker, because you're in this constant state of hypervigilance and worry. So this is helpful for everybody involved. You know, we don't have any research or data supporting the diminishment of the depreciation of the disease state, but we know intuitively that any disease comes along with stress, and the stress exacerbates the disease state. And it's from Parkinson's to ALS to Alzheimer's, dementia, any neurological disorder. This will improve the quality of life and will diminish the depreciation of the disease. So good luck. You should be doing NuCalm, and your family members should be doing NuCalm. And it may not be easy to get them to try it. So you'll have to use some skill and persuasive behavior to get that done.
Here's another question about a specific health issue. What program to use when one has AFib? Any recommendations?
Sure. So we've done a lot of work around the heart and just downregulating, again, the stress response. I would stay in the recovery section always. Simple, and there'll be an improvement there as well. Everything's related to stress. Everything's related to this part of our brain activating a stress response and activating our heart and activating and making our breath shallow. So I would stay in recovery all the time, every time.
Okay.
Rescue, I'm sorry.
Okay. Gail said this could be incredible for babies going through withdrawal related to exposure in utero to maternal medications and drugs. Sure.
We've had several moms give birth just with NuCalm. I mean, we had an exceptional experience where a gentleman videotaped his wife at home in water giving birth with no meds, just NuCalm. So I don't know how much I'd recommend that. I don't know how many moms who've had babies are like, I'm not doing that, but it's incredible because of the trauma of going through the birth canal is tremendous. And there's a lot of issues. You're right. So we're exposed to a lot of issues in utero. This would have a tremendous impact for sure.
Okay. Lots of love for Rescue 120 in the chat, which is great because that's one of our team favorites. Aziz has asked, what's the impact if I use NuCalm without the disc versus with the disc?
Wonderful.
I generally don't use discs.
Wonderful. Great question. All right. Let me make this very clear. The disc is the great equalizer. The disc creates the most predictable, fastest acting, deepest response in NuCalm. Okay. So if you have any understanding of neurobiofeedback or transcranial direct current stimulation or anything that's stimulating the brain function, you'll know in the literature and in real world, the lack of predictability is alarming. It doesn't work across the population. There's no predictability. Some days neurobiofeedback has a good impact on me and it doesn't last. Other days it has no impact. Some people can get, a great experience after 14 sessions. Some people take 100. That lack of predictability is all built around your stress response. So if you're well adjusted and you're managing stress well, and you have a good lifestyle and you're not filled with excitatory neurotoxins and your diet's good and your sleep's good and your intimate relationships are healthy and everything's good, maybe on a regular basis, you don't need the disc because you're going from 95% to 90%. Okay, fine. However, the second reason the disc is so important is the supersaturation of GABA to your brain chemistry. Now, this is a known fact. 7.6 billion people on this earth, about 7.6 billion of us are GABA deficient because our food supply is no longer food. We have way too many excitatory neurotransmitters and glutamates in our food supply, and we're constantly with our foot on the accelerator, not because we want to be, but our food supply is doing the same thing. So we are GABA deficient. Now, GABA is the body's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, and it gives us balance of our biochemistry. GABA is really, really important. Without it, we're dead. Now, GABA on the sleep side is what turns off your brain at night and allows you to fall into sleep. So when you are GABA deficient, you have a difficulty falling asleep. So when we say NuCalm lowers your stress without drugs, that's intuitively obvious. When you're in that state and you get up, you feel amazing. But we also make the claim that it improves your sleep quality. That's how it does it. So your brain needs melatonin, serotonin, and GABA for good sleep. We supersaturate your brain with that disc. That disc is activating all the GABA possible. And so at night, when your body's preparing for sleep, it goes to reach for GABA, and there's plenty left over from your NuCalm experience. So for those of you who choose not to do this, let's put it to this way. Been running this company for 13 and a half years. I've never done NuCalm without the disc, ever. Why? Because I want that extra 5%, 7%, 9%, 11%, wherever I'm at in my life and wherever, my food supply is at or whatever. I want maximum impact, but I also rely on it to help me with that sleep. And also the cumulative nature of NuCalm and the ability to begin dreaming again. Most of us don't dream because we slip through stage 2 of the sleep cycle too quickly because our body is breaking down and we're dealing with stress and our diet. So the disc in the experience itself creates a predictable, fast-acting, deeper experience, number one. Number two, it seeds the biochemistry for the sleep. So we would highly recommend it. However, you're right. If you see that the neuroacoustic software is 80% and the eye mask is 8 to 9% and the disc is 11%, there are times where you can say, hey, I'm not going to use the disc.
Okay. Another question, a little bit about the disc from Sheridan. Have you ever thought about a device someone could wear to replace the disc? Something that could hold a disc next to the skin without the need for an adhesive or some type of other tool?
We're always thinking, and we're always evaluating. We're always looking at stuff and seeing how to best do this. There's a medallion that I wear that has all 4 COVID since the 1970s, SARS. It keeps a frequency of 14-foot shield around me. So I was just in Las Vegas lecturing for 3 days, and everybody that was with me now has COVID, but yours truly doesn't. I've traveled 7.5 weeks all over the world. COVID is becoming rampant again, and I don't get it. So this is a medallion that doesn't diminish in its frequency, and we could probably build something like that for NuCalm. Yes, it is something that we've always are looking at. We're always looking at simplifying it. If you think about where we came on the biochemistry, it used to be $24.50 per application, had 3 huge supplements you had to chew, hold in your mouth for 2 minutes, sublingually absorb it, and use a stimulation device to catalyze the outcome. So we went from that to a transdermal cream, now to the biosignal processing disc. Our focus in the next year will be on the verbal augmentation of our physics, but we're always thinking, we're always looking, we're always entertaining the opportunity to make it easier. And, before Blake passed away, we were looking at mirror neurons and other ways to kind of maybe bring in the frequency of the disc into the physics that you listen to. But that is so far abstract. I would need to find another alien to figure out how to complete that process.
Quick question. Could you hold your medallion up one more time and tell everybody where you got it and what it looks like? Your camera is, it's angled a little bit differently. Okay, there it is. And what's it called and where did you get it?
This medallion is a COVID medallion.
COVID medallion, okay.
This one is for memory.
Okay.
They both are on me. They're on me all the time. I shower with them. I sleep with them. The COVID medallion I've had for 1.5 years, and they're manufactured in San Diego by a brilliant scientist who's unfortunately probably not going to be here much longer. So I don't know the availability of them moving forward. I'm not thinking there's a high percentage of opportunity.
Okay. So I captured that. I put it in the chat as a follow-up. I'll just see if there's any availability for anyone else to potentially purchase one, but I can work with Jim offline on that. It is 3:02 Eastern. And one last question from Joyce. She's wondering if a glass of wine at dinner subverts the effect of deep sleep.
Of course it does. But a glass of wine at dinner makes you physically and emotionally downregulated. All the wine is doing, besides the habit and the culture and the experience, just like a coffee habit, all the wine is doing is binding to the GABA A receptor site. The GABA A receptor site is really important in our brain science and chemistry. Any alcohol binds to GABA A, any barbiturate binds to GABA A, and any benzodiazepine binds to GABA A. Anything that creates what's called anxiolysis or anti-anxiety or relaxation in your brain chemistry is derived by binding to the GABA A receptor site. We are super saturating your brain with GABA. We are priming the receptor site for alcohol. So when you do NuCalm on a regular basis, you should be a cheaper date, okay? Because we're priming the receptor site that alcohol binds to. I would not recommend that you stop the habit of having a glass of wine. Now, the closer you eat and the more impact you have on the liver, and the liver requires adrenaline to enzymatically break down your food supply. And unfortunately, your biorhythm of your liver starts at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's why we all wake up, especially if you have a late steak dinner and a couple glasses of wine, you're waking up between 2 and 3. And that's just the way it is. So I wouldn't say don't have a glass of wine each night around 6 or 7. Is it compromising some of the onset of sleep? Of course it is. Is it a huge magnitude? Probably not. So when you think about sleep issues around having difficulty with the onset of sleep, there's typically a couple little things that are at play. Number one, GABA. We're all deficient in GABA. That's also been why there's been such a proliferation of autism in the spectrum of ADHD and Asperger's. And the etiology of that proliferation is GABA deficiency amongst our food supply and our population. GABA helps you downregulate. It brings balance to adrenaline and overstimulation. So it makes sense that that's one issue. The second issue is a lot of us are magnesium deficient, and that's the onset of sleep as well. So there's two elements that you think about for sleep with the biochemistry. So if you're listening to deep sleep and you can wear a disc to go to bed, I wouldn't not drink a glass of wine, because life is to be lived. One glass of wine a night or 2 glasses of wine a night is not going to have a dramatic detrimental impact on your life, but it may on your quality and happiness.
Okay, we are at 3:05 Eastern. I think we are finished for the day. Some people are still trying to get in. So please know that we are recording this and we'll send this out early next week at the latest. We're delighted you all came. Happy Friday. Cannot wait to share focus.
Focus, hocus, focus. It's hard not to be hyperbolic about it and give you guys all these grandiose notions, but I think you've learned we're built in very, very hardcore science, and we've solved the riddle of brainwave function. So if you like deep sleep and you like NuCalm and you feel the impact of Ignite, guess what? We're taking you on a journey, and you can absolutely get excited about it because we're not letting you down. It is as advertised, if not better. Like most of the stuff we do, it's incredible. So are we creating a super species? Yes. We'll be able to do anything we want to do. Yes. Will you be able to focus and just crush through your mental workload? Yes. Awesome. Enjoy it. Happy Friday, everybody. Much love and gratitude. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Bye.